Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
I have a tender spot in my heart for cripples, bastards, and broken things.
What about second breakfast?
I have an army.
We have a Hulk. I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
This is a tasty burger.
And tell him to suit up. I'm bringing the party to you.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel over here at Broke Boy Media, and today we're going to be doing our Joker review. My name is Christian and I have Devin here with me as always. How are you doing today, buddy?
Oh boy, I got a lot to get into.
We do have a lot to get into. I literally just got out of the theater. It's been a very busy weekend for me. Been hitting up the Nashville Film Festival. So I saw Jojo Rabbit and not Honey Boy, Marriage Story so far. I'm seeing Honey Boy next weekend. I think it's on Friday. And then that's probably it for me for the film festival. Those are only three movies I was very interested in seeing. But our spoiler review of Jojo Rabbit is up on the page right now. I was a bit half tired while recording it, so I might take it down and re-record it and put it back up. I just put it up early this morning, but yeah, man, let's just dive right in. So I just got out of the theater to see Joker. You saw it yesterday or was it Thursday?
Yesterday.
Okay. So as all of you have known, you've been hearing a lot of the buzz about the Joker movie directed by Todd Phillips, and he did a phenomenal job with this movie. I didn't know what to expect, and I somehow made it to Saturday without a single spoiler whatsoever. I kept seeing how great it was, and I was trying to, not pay attention to everyone else's reactions, because you know how like people hype up a movie too much, and then you go see it and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to see these amazing things that happen, which it was, but I didn't want to be overhyped, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to see it yesterday. I was just like tired of seeing people talk about it. I was like, oh, I just need to see it now.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I was too, man. It was just insane. But before we begin, you can listen to this podcast version of our review on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. I don't believe we're going to be putting this up on YouTube because there's not a lot of footage, and I just figured it'd be more fun as just a podcast. And like you said, we have a lot to dig into and a lot to say. So what were your initial thoughts before the movie came out? You heard they were making a Joker movie, and leading up to the first and second trailer, what were your thoughts about the movie going in?
Before any trailers came out or any like information came out, I think everyone was just confused as to why they were doing a Joker movie that wasn't Jared Leto, because it just felt like there were just too many Jokers going on.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's I was kind of confused because we had Venom last year, and I was like, maybe we shouldn't do villain movies. And then after seeing this, I'm like, yes, like give me more. But I gotta say, I do agree with you. I was very confused, and people were bringing up this DC Dark Universe, and I kind of like how this is its own standalone movie. It's not connected to anything. I think it warrants as a really good origin for the Joker, but no one really knows who the Joker is, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But yeah, man, it was I was very confused at first, and then I saw you see the leaked photos of Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker, and you're like, oh okay, I was kind of feeling it, and then I saw the first trailer. I'm like, wow, this looks very good, and I saw the second one. I'm like, okay, yes, just let's see this.
The trailers really sold it once you saw like Joaquin doing his thing.
It really was, man. Oh my gosh. So where should we begin? Like, obviously everyone listening, this is a spoiler review. So if you have not seen the movie, just back out now, come back, listen to us or whoever you listen to. We're just a couple of guys talking about the Joker. Well, what do you care? But so, where do we begin? Do we begin at the end?
I guess what was your reaction like when the movie ended? Like, what were your first thoughts?
I had never felt more sympathetic towards a villain. I feel more sympathetic for the Joker than I do Thanos, and I feel more sympathetic than not T'Challa. Wow. Killmonger and, Marvel, but wow. And obviously way better than Venom. I mean, come on. But I felt, all of his murders, all of his killings were completely justified to me.
All of them? I don't know about that.
Are you talking about the mother?
Yeah, definitely the mother.
The mother was a little bit of I was like, oh man, I'm like, is he really going to kill her? I thought he was just going to shoot her being done with it. Like,
And
no,
then,
he's
and then
mothered her.
even the talk show host, like, of course, it wasn't great to bully him, but it doesn't warrant murder.
Well, obviously it doesn't warrant murder, but like at the same time, I was like, okay, obviously, seeing it as, a viewer, we already know what he's been through, what's going on. It was warranted to me at least, but obviously, yes, that's going a little bit overboard. But then again, is it just as going overboard as, when he murdered the 3 kids on the train?
Yeah, I'd say.
No, so I was like, oh, did he go? Did he leave? No. I was like, oh my gosh. But I don't know, man. It's weird.
It's tough. Like when I first got out of the theater, I was just like questioning everything. I was trying to figure out what I just watched. The biggest thing is it makes you question your morality. Like
it really does. And this movie really does touch on. It touches on obviously the whole bullying aspect, but really with mental health because. I mean, no one was listening to him, not even a social worker. And he kept saying, he's like, all I have are negative thoughts. And he's like, I feel like you're not listening to me. And then she only kind of started listening to him after she found out that her job was in jeopardy. And then even then she didn't really even care. She's like, oh, this is going to be the last time that we meet. And she's like, none of these people give a shit about you. I'm like, okay, but you're still not listening to what he's saying because he's been explaining himself this entire time, and you just keep on asking the same questions. How's your job? How's your week? How do you feel? It's literally the same thing over and over and over. And I mean, a few of this, I don't want to say disturbing, but I mean, to me, obviously, to a normal moviegoer who doesn't see a lot of these violent films. And it's going to be more disturbing for them than me. But the one part where I was kind of like, holy crap, when he first goes to the stand-up comedy club and he has that pornography on the backside of his joke book, I think it was.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to spot what those pictures were, but yeah, it looked pretty.
Yeah, I caught it for a split second. I thought that's what they were laughing at because he puts his arms up and he has his book in his hand, and I thought that page was flipped over to where everyone can see it. But I'm like, okay, well they're laughing, but it was very, very odd. But yeah, man, I just to go back from mental illness, it's I think this is kind of important because he wanted. I mean, obviously, this guy, Arthur's had a very hard life. We get 2 twists in the movie when, we think that, oh my gosh, he's related to Bruce Wayne. How was your reaction to that first twist where they kind of led you to believe that for a while?
That one was pretty shocking because I was surprised that DC would allow, in general, allowed this movie to be made. I'm surprised they did that because obviously it's way out of their comfort zone and something way different.
Yeah,
I'm glad they did, but I'm very surprised because if that first twist about they're basically being brothers, Batman and Joker being stepbrothers, if that were true, that would have painted Batman in a much worse light. Because obviously his dad would have been seen as much more of a negative figure.
Yeah, I mean, as if he wasn't already in the film, but it made sense. It made sense why people were mad at Thomas Wayne, but you have Joker's mother who is, she's very, fixed on Thomas Wayne. Like, oh, he can fix everything. And, it takes more than just one person to, fix a city, especially Gotham. And I mean, I can understand why people were, mad and angry at Thomas Wayne. You have this guy living in this big mansion. He doesn't really have any worries. I mean, yeah, he might have some, but not as big as, everyone, the little guy in general. But
yeah, I was actually going back and forth trying to decide if the relationship between his mom and Thomas Wayne was real or not.
Yeah, it really did make you think. I'm like, okay, I'm like, all right, I'm like, obviously someone's lying here. And then when he confronts him in the bathroom, and he snaps, and it's like, but it's like, what he's saying is completely right. I mean, even in today's society, it's like people are just straight up rude for no reason whatsoever. And there's no explanation for it. People try to justify it, say, oh, like, well, I'm having a bad day. And then they're like, oh, well, that's the reason why I'm being mean to you. It's like, well, someone else might be having a bad day too. That same person that you're being mean to, fire breathes fire. And then, if you snap at one person who's having a bad day, and then they snap back at you, and it's just a vicious cycle. When it's like, he just, I don't know, man. I was all on board with it. Like
I'm honestly still not sure, because obviously they showed like the adoption paperwork and stuff, but I feel like that I feel like Thomas Wayne's powerful enough that they could have like forged all of that and just
but that was a lot
up.
of information though. Like that was a lot of like paperwork and fighting for that file.
Yeah, a very small Brian Tyree Henry part, but it's still good nonetheless.
Yeah, him and oh my god, the girl who plays Domino in Deadpool 2.
Zazie Beetz.
Yeah, so the only issue I really had with the movie was did she die, or like, because we only see her.
That's also one of the main issues I have. That girlfriend twist. For me at least, I caught on pretty much right away that she was just not there in reality. The first thing that I noticed that put me onto that was one of the first times they interacted, she knew his name, and I don't think he ever introduced her or him to her.
You know what? That is true.
So I was kind of like, okay, this must be part of his fantasy. This has to be fake.
Yeah, it probably is. Especially, I really like the part of the fantasy where he goes on to Robert De Niro's show. I forgot his actual character name at this moment, but when he first goes on and he's imagining being there, and he's like, oh, come up. And, he idolizes, this talk show host so much. And then, he kind of just.
And then the whole crowd's like cheering him and like loves him.
Yeah, but he's
loving all of it.
Right. And he's like, I live with my mother, but, he's like, I take good care of her. And, that's. What's what you do, when your parents get old, you take care of your parents, and the roles kind of reverse. And
that part's really important because it plants the seed of you thinking what's reality and what's fantasy. Like, get you thinking, okay, what is real?
Yeah, that is very true.
Because the way they set it up, it just looked like a scene transitioned into something new. It wasn't like, oh, this is a flashback. Oh, this is something he's experienced before. It was just like, oh, it's just happened.
Yeah, it was. At first, I was like, oh, well, like, because when he first sees the talk show, I was like, oh, I'm like, maybe he's been on the show before, and that's why he loves it so much. And then it kind of went back. I'm like, oh, so was it kind of like a vision type of thing? I was kind of confused, but I was like, okay, I'll just take it more as like a vision that he was having, imagining being on the show. And then, when he finally goes on the show, it's just like, it's like every little thing that happened. First, he gets beat up with, he gets fired from work, and he gets jumped by those kids with the sign. And that part kind of pissed me off, like with his boss. It's like his boss did not want to hear any of it. And, obviously he told all of his other coworkers what happened. And this boss is like, I don't want to hear it. It's going to come out of your pay if you don't find that sign. And, people like his boss snapping at him, that lady on the bus snapping at him when he was messing around with the kid. Like, that was like pure, like, I found a lot of, reflection between how the world is now, honestly, in that movie, because, he was just messing around with the kid. The kid was laughing. It would have been different if the kid obviously felt uncomfortable, but like his mom just didn't want, his mom just didn't want anything to do with it whatsoever.
And that scene with the kid on the bus is also a really important scene because it sets up the actual disorder. I don't know the technical term, but it's basically
I didn't know that was an actual
uncontrollable laughter.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell
that's actually pretty genius to have the Joker with that disorder. It's not something you would think of, but for him to have that, it's kind of painful for him to even have those laughing spurts, but it's just perfect for the Joker.
Yeah, because honestly, I mean, imagine like, you're just sitting down eating some chicken wings or something, you just start uncontrollably laughing, and you accidentally like choke on your food, or choke on your drink or something like that.
He was choking on he was just choking like on nothing.
He was choking like on his own laugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I do agree with you there. Like I said, I didn't know that was an actual condition. I thought they just made it up for, for the movie's sake. Oh, we got to give him a reason to laugh. It's like, oh, it's like, no, it's a real thing. But even then, people already laugh when they're uncomfortable to begin with. I couldn't imagine having, a condition like that. And you can tell where he's like happy, but he's sad at the same time. And he's like, no, he's like, I'm sorry. This is the laughing condition. He probably has like a crap ton of those cards. Just webbing out
it seems
to
like
everybody.
it always came out when he was uncomfortable, which of course makes every uncomfortable moment that much worse.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, like what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? And he's like, oh, nothing's wrong with me, but he felt like as soon as he stopped taking his meds, he's like, oh, I feel good. I was like, I bet you do.
Yeah,
I bet you do. But man, I just, and also with kind of like with the undertone, like he only didn't kill the midget. Pretty much everyone else who was a dick to him in general. But obviously, we as like I said before, me being an audience member and me thinking that those killings are justified in this universe, obviously not in real life. He lets the midget go after the the old fat one of the his old fat coworkers set him up with a gun, brings it into a children's hospital. I was like, oh my god, can't believe that friggin' happened. But
so all these scenes are just so like tense. You're just like,
it was one after another. It made you feel uncomfortable, but
that children's hospital one, you're just like, oh no. And then
I was like, did they notice? I'm like, of course they fucking noticed.
One where they come into his apartment, you're like, oh, please don't kill the little guy, please.
Dude,
don't
as soon
kill
as
him.
he locked that door, I was like, something's about to happen. But
and then he can't reach the lock to get out. It's like it's like a perfect blend of tense, like humor, and like just
comedy.
Horrifying.
Yeah. He was like, I'm not gonna kill you. And he literally even says, he's like, you're the only one who's ever nice to me. Because people were being, a dick to the clown too. I mean, not the clown, wow, the midget guy too. And, I guess, it was more of like a sympathetic thing. Whatever happened between him and, Zaza, I don't know if she's alive or dead, because that was the only little issue. Like, she was there. I was like, okay, are they going to go somewhere with her? Like, is he going to kill her? And then, he like just ends up in her apartment after, he finds out all this, like his breaking point, the thing that pushed him over the edge. And then it was just, I was like, oh, did he kill her? I don't know. And she's like, oh, my daughter's in the next room. But I'm like, I thought they were like together. So I felt like, I was like, okay, if you're together, wouldn't you figure out what's going on instead of just asking him to leave? But she was never, a dick to him. So I really don't know. It's very, very weird.
There's no way of knowing her fate.
Which is interesting. I don't know. Well, jeez, man. Any other points that you wanted to bring up? I'm sorry, I've been talking for so much. I literally just got out of the theater. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much to say. But yeah, go ahead if you have.
It felt like every murder scene that he was in, it just made you feel dirty and like grimy. You're like, oh god, like.
Oh, I felt fine. No, I'm kidding.
Like obviously, I felt bad and I sympathized with him, but I just didn't want him to murder. Obviously.
Yeah, and it was kind of
because you want him to have redemption and get better, but obviously doing what he did isn't going to make him get better.
Yeah, honestly, I thought there was like a few things that were going to happen. Like, I mean, especially like at his first killings on the the train ride after he gets sacked from work. And I was like, man, I'm like, I felt like something's going to happen. I'm like, oh man, is he really going to take like, 2 beatings in like 2 days? He just whips out the gun out of nowhere and just.
Yeah, that was
bam!
shocking. He just right in the head.
Yeah, that made me jump. I was like, holy crap. Well, number one, you have incredible aim, sir. Number two, wow.
Yeah, he didn't really miss.
Except for that third guy. He was on the hunt. He smelled blood and he loved it. He loved it.
And then after that scene is the scene where he goes to the bathroom and does his dance. It's like it's kind of showing the first time he actually feels free. Like he feels powerful after that.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, and especially when he snaps on it like I said, you know, it was a gradual, like a snowball effect with him, you know, like, okay, you know, he kills the guys, the three people, and then what was his next killing? I think that was the fat guy, was it?
I think the mom was before.
Okay, the mom, and then the fat guy. Yeah, and
the mom was before because they asked him how he was doing, and then he said, "My mom died, so I'm celebrating." Like, that was creepy.
Yeah, I mean,
And he had all the white makeup on that looks so creepy.
And then he's like, you going down to the rallies? He's like, no. He's like, oh, you know, everyone's going downtown. He's like, oh, is that today? And he's like, oh well. But like at the same time, you know, after he made his first kill, after his first blood, because you could say his you know, he was scared that, you know, he pushed himself that far, but you know, at the same time, he said he was having negative thoughts, and the whole, you know, he's writing in his journal where, you know, people are expecting you to, you know, put on a happy face and, you know, pretend that you're okay when you're not. And I mean, obviously, you know, he has a mental illness going on, but I think his mom was just as messed up with, you know, tying him to a heater, being malnourished. And he's like, oh my God, Mom, you're so messed up. It's like, bro, you just mowed down 3 people
Yeah.
on a freaking like a train stop. And I mean, the fat guy definitely had it coming to him. That he paid him back, paid him back in full and 10 times over probably. But what were your thoughts about like the ending when he goes on to, you know, Robert De Niro's show? Just overall, like what were your thoughts? Just
They kept setting up to where he was going to say the knock knock joke and then kill himself, and then they kind of threw a wrench at you, and he ends up killing the talk show host instead, which was definitely surprising.
yeah, and it's very reminiscent. I'm not sure if you watched Dark Knight Returns. It's like a 2-parter animated film where you know, Batman is retired, you know, he's not a part of like helping out Gotham anymore, and the Joker is still alive, but he's in more of like a kind of like a retirement, and I guess you could say it's Arkham. Let's just say it was Arkham. But it's like, you know, since Batman retired, then the Joker kind of lost his drive. And then when he found out that Batman came out of retirement in his old age, it was like a spark. And then Joker's like, oh, you know, like the Joker's back. And he goes on a talk show host in that movie. And instead of, you know, just killing the talk show host, he mows down the entire audience. And he's with some other villain. I can't remember the name of them, but it was just insane. I'm like, that was very reminiscent. I'm like, as soon as he got on that talk show host, I'm like, something's going to happen. Either he's going to kill himself, which I thought was kind of like the cheap cop-out way. Because I'm like, okay, you know, we haven't been just witnessing all these murders just for him to say, you know what, I'm just tired of living, whatever. He's like, my life's not a tragedy, it's a comedy, and comedy's subjective, things of that nature. And then, you know, that happening just, shit, we shoots Robert De Niro twice. I was like, holy crap, once wasn't enough, but, you know, he just...
Yeah, and then even after that, I was like really surprised that they did the Thomas Wayne and his mother and Bruce Wayne in the alley. Like, that's an iconic Batman. That's an iconic Batman part. And
yeah,
it
pretty
was
much
a bit rushed. Rewrote the whole history.
Yeah, but
they
like, I
changed
liked
everything
it.
with that one scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was a bit rushed, but obviously, you know, it's towards the end of the movie. And then it's like, I liked it a lot. And I was like, okay, like, you know, like there have been origin stories for the Joker, but obviously no one knows who the Joker really is, which is why he's such the perfect villain, honestly. But I think, you know, if there ever was a cinematic Joker origin like movie, I feel like this would be it. But in obviously a different DC universe, one that's honestly one that's kind of like the even the animated movies. Like the animated movies, obviously, I mean, they have a lot of adult themes in them, you know. In general, I'm not sure if you know watch any of them on the Voodoo account, but yeah, it's pretty adult. I mean, it's kind of like DC is more of an adult comic book universe overall. Obviously, I mean, Marvel has its adult themes too, but DC's always kind of been that way. But even with what are your thoughts about when he first meets Bruce and he's like just messing around with him over by the gate?
That was a really good scene. Just kind of surprising that he was able to do it so easily, but that could that could be part of a theory that I'll bring up later. But
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you want to bring it up now, I was trying to think of what else to,
well, I was
say.
also gonna say, if you think about it, if this origin was true and someone associated with the Joker did kill Batman's parents,
Yeah.
that changes everything because the Joker usually is the one that's obsessed with Batman and just has to go after him. But if this were true, it'd be the other way around. Batman's obsessed with the Joker
Yeah, I mean
and
that's
going
kind
after
of how it
him.
is in the well, not in the comics. Well, yeah, in the comics, I would say, even in the animated films, even for like the Killing Joke, it kind of expresses how they have this, Batman and the Joker have this big toxic relationship where it's like the Joker knows how to get underneath the Batman's skin, but like they don't like out and say if the Joker even knows who Batman really is. They never really explain it in any context. In general, it's like he may know who he is, he may not know, but yeah, I see what you're saying. It was kind of like the Jack Nicholson version where it's like, oh, you find out that the Joker killed Batman's parents, and then in turn, they created each other in a way. And I thought that's the route they were gonna go. I'm like, no, it's been done before. Because when the Joker is at the whatever show that was happening when Thomas Wayne was at, and he sees Thomas Wayne leave, I'm like, oh, is he gonna just like kill him in the alley like right then and there? I'm like, oh no, Martha's still sitting there. I'm like, okay, it's a different scene. But whoever that guy was who killed, Batman's parents, it was kind of just like a one-off type of thing. But I do like how they did incorporate that in. But what was your theory?
I've been obviously I've had more time to let everything sink in, and I've been watching some videos on YouTube and everything.
Of course, yeah, I can't watch any videos. I was like, nope. Anytime I went on YouTube, I was
Well,
like,
after this recording, you should definitely do a deep dive and just watch a bunch like I did because
oh, I will. Mr.
it makes
Sunday
it even
movies.
better. I don't know if he has a video. He probably does, but
We'll see.
well, the big theory I've seen is just questioning how much of the whole movie is actually real. Because there's a theory that he was in the mental institution the whole time, just fantasizing and dreaming about all of this happening.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I just yeah, because there's other theories out there, even with like Harry Potter, where there's this big theory that Harry was like this like crazy kid, and that he never left underneath the staircase at like his uncles, and everything that he that happened like dreamt of is just like made up. That is pretty interesting though, but because this makes more sense for this movie because obviously the Joker wasn't right in the head.
Yeah,
And then
and they set the precedent for him making up stuff in his head. So
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense that maybe we don't know how much of it actually was.
He was imagining about imagining things. That's probably the imagination.
Even at the end, like everything was just going so perfectly for him. Everything was working. It felt like maybe it was a little too perfect. Even the ambulance that runs into his car, like both the cops die, but he's pretty much fine.
Yeah,
Like
pretty much. I mean,
everything
he
is
was still
just
pretty messed up. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's not
yeah,
like he
it's
just
just
woke up like, oh, hello, everybody, But yeah,
there's a chance like even the scene where they say there's no more funding, so he won't be able to get treatment anymore.
yeah.
That might be where things like started being made up in his mind because he stopped taking his medicine.
Oh, okay. That's a very interesting theory. I like that a lot. But
And also the two like therapists that he talked to, they looked very similar, but
yeah,
were
they
different
did.
people.
The one at the very ending and the beginning. They did.
So people were theorizing that maybe the one in the beginning was just him trying to think of one and just making it a similar look to the one that he already has in the asylum that he's currently in.
Yeah. That's a good question. Actually, no, not a good
That,
question. That's a
that
good
really
analogy.
it really makes you think like this all could have been fake.
True. It was all a dream, all of it. But I have a question
And
for
then
you.
at the end, he does escape his room seemingly with blood on his shoes. Does a little
How did he kill her though? That's what I wanted to know.
he does some Scooby Doo like
he was like
running through the hallway with
Ruh-roh.
they go back and forth in the hallway.
Right. Oh my god, that was perfect. But so I have a question for you. which adaptation of the Joker in our lifetime, I'm not even talking about Jack Nicholson, do you like better? Do you like Heath Ledger or do you like Joaquin Phoenix?
To me, nothing will ever top Heath Ledger, but I will say that Joaquin Phoenix, it's pretty close to equal. Like, it's the only issue to me is that he wasn't the Joker for a large portion of the movie, so it's kind of hard to put him on the same page as Ledger,
Yeah, that
or
is
better
true.
than Ledger.
Yeah, because
He was Joker for
already
probably a
established.
half hour of the movie total.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, because in Dark Knight, he was already established as, the main villain since from the very beginning. And for Joker, he was, built up to that point.
But Joaquin Phoenix, like, this is Oscar. He has to get an Oscar for this.
Oh, absolutely. If this, even like this, I think this is up there with Best Picture for me. And let me tell you, man, wow. Like, honestly, I would say
it might come down to him and Leo for Best Actor.
Oh yeah,
it might be pretty close.
That's tough, man. Because I love me some Leo in general. I'm trying to figure out. Man, that's tough. So I would say, because I was thinking about this on the car ride home, that I don't believe one did it better than the other, because obviously these are two different takes on the Joker. And, but it's like both takes on, for Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix were warranted. I everything that Heath Ledger said as a Joker was absolutely true. And I completely sympathize. I mean, obviously I sympathize more with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker over Heath Ledger's Joker, but they both spoke so many truths. And this movie in general for Joaquin Phoenix, I think it's a big push for mental illness, as I said before, and just this how people treat each other in today's world. Because it's kind of like Gotham in general. It's just this rundown city almost. Oh, I was gonna say like Cleveland. I'm just joking.
Yikes!
Yikes.
Maybe Detroit.
Okay, yeah. Let's go with Detroit. I was gonna say Detroit. I was like, I don't know if that's too far. That's why I was gonna say Cleveland.
We'll say 8 Mile.
Yeah, 8 Mile. Yes, I agree. But
that's also something I wanted to bring up. The movie was not afraid to put in some messages that it wanted to get across. They were not very subtle, which might turn some people off. But
yeah,
the few key things they were trying to say or start conversations about were obviously social divide, the 1% just not really caring about the bottom people, and then poverty. That's a big part of it.
Yeah,
it's like people live and are born into poverty, and there's not really much they can do about it, and that's a big message that's put across. And then, as you've mentioned, mental illness, how poorly we treat mental illness, and how we still have a lot of work to do to get better at it.
Yeah, and not even just treating people with mental illness, just treating people in general, because it's people are they're just. I mean, yeah, everyone was like straight up rude to the Joker. Kind of reminded me of everyone crapping on Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3. It was just not his movie at all. Like that was just everyone's just attacking him. He's just a guy trying to make a living. But yeah, man, the two twists, it's like I loved how it was those two twists between. It's like, oh, like wow, this version of Joker is Batman's brother, because that would have been very interesting. But like as you said, that could have been a huge cover up. I'm like, man, I don't know, that was a lot of freaking paperwork. Like but then again, maybe Thomas Wayne would have put that much effort into it. I mean, he punched the crap out of him in the bathroom. So I was like, I don't know. But as I was saying, I was digress. Getting back to my point, I think both, Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix have done a great job adapting the Joker in their own different ways. And I can't put one over the other, because they're two. Obviously, Heath Ledger, as I mentioned before, he was already established as a Joker from the beginning of Dark Knight. With Joaquin's Joker, it was more of a lead up to it. Now, if they ever did like a sequel, I think
which they won't.
Which
do.
they won't.
Joaquin Phoenix has no interest in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we need you to lose all this weight again.
Yeah.
Can you do
He
it?
lost
Then,
almost 60 pounds. That's insane.
He could barely walk up the stairs from what I was reading from certain articles. I was like, that is dedication. I mean, even, well, obviously, you know, weight loss in general will not win him this Oscar. It's more the performance, because Christian Bale put on a crap ton of weight for Dick Cheney in Vice, and I honestly felt like he got a little bit snubbed there, but, you know, we didn't have that many great options for the Oscars last year. So, looking at you, Green Book, but that's totally. But anyway, yeah. So I feel like if we got another movie with Joaquin Phoenix being the Joker, you know, from start to finish, then I would be able to make more of a fair comparison. But obviously I can't. So I'm going to say it's 50-50 for now, because I cannot put one over the other. Because obviously, I mean, the Joker for Heath Ledger, he had Batman in his movie. Obviously, you know, Joaquin did too, but baby Batman, you know.
Yeah.
In general. But was there anything else you wanted to cover before we wrap up here? Or
I just love how introspective the movie is. It just makes you think about what you value as far as morals and everything goes. Because as we've been talking, you seem to be like, I am sympathetic towards the character, but then it gets to a point where he's murdering people where it kind of lowers for me. But it seems to you that you stay sympathetic throughout. I
did. It was, and obviously, I'm not crazy, people.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, I'm the same person, but I don't know, like, normally when I try to watch these movies, you know, I really do try to put myself in that person's perspective. You know, I guess you could say empathy in general, but I don't know, man. Like, it was just so unnecessary. Like, from the very beginning, when, you know, the train scene, when, like, that woman snapped at him for no freaking reason. Obviously, you know, he's not going to just go and, you know, rip her neck off or anything like that and leave the kid motherless. But I was like, and I've just seen so many instances. Like, I mean, I was talking to my mom about this, and a few months ago, she was, you know, at the grocery store, and she was coming back to her car, and she was next to this lady, and she asked this lady politely to, you know, like, pull up her car, because she didn't want her car, because we're kind of like on a slope. She didn't want her car to hit the lady's car, and she didn't want to mess up her own car. And then the lady kind of just like ignored her, and she asked her nicely again. And then the lady kind of looked at her like kind of pissy like, and she like slammed her door, got into her car, slammed the door, and moved up a little bit. And then my mom had said again politely, you know, like, you know, I still don't have enough room. And then this lady's like, well, I'm just having a bad day, and blah, 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 blah. And then my mom snapped back, and she was like, I'm having a bad day too, you know, like, I'm not going to tell you exactly what she said, but and then the lady kind of just broke down, and she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And it was kind of like that lady was like just trying to justify her being rude to my mom because she was having a bad day. It's like, well, everyone you encounter that day could be having, you know, like a really bad day. I mean, clearly the Joker, Danny, you really saw it, especially after after his mother dies, after he kills his mom. But it's like him learning the truth about his past, and, you know, he wanted to know where he came from. And, you know, everyone, you know, has that type of instinct, but it was just, even with that music, man, like, I just tried to put myself in his, you know, in his shoes, and it's like,
the score was so haunting throughout the whole thing.
It was great, man. Oh, that score was amazing. And I agree. I don't know what it is. I agree with him, especially when he snapped on, you know, Robert De Niro's show before he killed him. When he's like, you know, he's like, you put my comedy up, you know, for people to laugh at and blah, 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 blah. But obviously, again, we only know that because, you know, of his illness, and, you know, and that's the whole reason. He's like, well, I don't think it's funny. He's like, well, comedy's subjective, which he's right. But it's like, I don't know, man. I just, for some reason, I mean, I sympathize. I mean, I agreed with Killmonger 100%, but I don't know what it is, man. It's crazy. I mean, obviously, you know,
actually, I saw a really interesting quote. Someone asked Zazie Beetz a very similar question, basically something like, do you think it's weird or awkward that people might find sympathy with someone as murderous and crazy as the Joker. And her response was kind of like, you don't necessarily have to find sympathy for his character, but like try to find sympathy for people in his shoes that are similar to what he's going through, because there's people in our country just like this all around that just slip through the cracks, and there's just nothing that's done to help them. So if you can find sympathy for them, then you're kind of getting the point of the movie.
Well said. Honestly, and I think that pretty much sums up my explanation as to why I feel sympathy for the Joker. I absolutely agree with that, because I mean, obviously, we both went to the same high school, but there were people in my grade. We had this one kid who had Down syndrome. No, he was autistic. He didn't have Down. He was autistic, super smart kid. Literally was like a math genius in our entire graduating class. But like some people were just like they're dicks to him for no reason. And it kind of just, it's like, he never did anything to you. So like, why are you being mean to him? And even with, there were kids, I'm not sure if you remember this, because obviously you were a few grades below me, but there was this one kid in the grade below me who ended up killing himself in the middle of, I think it was Ethan Green's golf course. He was on the football team. He had his group of friends, but like, I always remember just pretty much anyone just being just utterly completely rude to him, and even the coaches. And I'm like, it was probably a contributing factor. And I've seen it a lot. And there was another kid named Michael in my class, in my graduating class, who, he wasn't all there in the head. He was very, very smart, intelligent wise. He always got good grades, but everyone always used to joke like, oh, like don't mess with Michael, man. He'll end up like shooting the school. I'm like, number one, why the fuck would you put that in his head? Number two, why are you being a dick to him in the first place? If you don't want him to shoot up the school, you should probably start being nice to him. Like, honestly. And it's like, even in my fraternity, just one more quick example, I got invited to one of my fraternity, older fraternity brothers' weddings, who, like, I knew him throughout my time in Greek life. And he invited me to his wedding. Like, I ended up working for like his fiance's family for a little bit with a lawn mowing service and stuff like that. And one of my fraternity brothers, I was talking to him about the guy whose nickname was Target. I was like, yeah, man, I got invited to Target's wedding. And he's like, oh, he's like, how did you manage that, man? It looked like a lot of fun. I was like, well, I wasn't a dick to him, because like there was a lot of resentment and ridicule within my fraternity that I won't really talk about with certain people. And I guess, yeah, I felt sympathy that way and empathized with people. So that's a good, that was a very good quote by ZZ Beats there. I almost called her ZZ Tops. Wait, what am I talking about?
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it.
Absolutely. But was there anything else you wanted to cover before we wrap this up?
I think the larger topic as a whole that we can talk about is, obviously there was controversy going into this movie.
Yeah, we can talk about that for a bit here. Absolutely. I'm not in any rush, so we can just keep the ball rolling as long as we have interesting things to say, which I hope people are listening. So
because we were talking before, like leading up to the movie, we were kind of like talking back and forth, like a little worried about going to the movie at a premiere time.
Yeah,
because we didn't know if anything was going to happen, because obviously the Dark Knight Returns movie premiere had that issue a few years back.
Yeah, and I was actually talking about this on the other team, Cinemania World team that I'm a part of, on their one of their podcasts. And everyone, check it out. It's great. They're doing great things, and I'm very excited to be a part of their team. Shout out to Dwayne for having me on and inviting me onto the team. But in general, what we were talking about over there, it kind of correlates to what we were talking about here on our podcast. Is that it's sad that people were so reluctant to go see the movie during opening night. Some people saw it Tuesday, some people saw it on Thursday, and it's like, well, I don't want to put my life in danger just because I really want to go see a movie. And it was very sad that NYPD had to crack down and say it's like asking cops to come in and take away their duties from other crimes, other real crimes that could be happening, versus like, hey, we need you to like guard this movie theater and make sure that nothing happens, during opening weekend, because people are crazy. And I totally agree. It's, I know for a while there, I kept asking you when we were going to see it. And, I just saw it like 10 a.m. this morning, and you were like, you're like, I don't know. And I was like, I totally understood. And I, hope you didn't think I was like bugging you about it. I was just wondering. But it's like, it's completely warranted, because, you want to be safe. You don't want to, go into a weird situation where, your life is in danger just to go see a movie, because for some reason, I don't know why this movie's all, like, like shooters could be there and blah, 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 because what happened to Aurora. I was like, okay, well, I went to go see John Wick 3 a few months ago, and that dude was mowing down people left and right. And
yeah, that was the point that Todd Phillips made, the director. He made that direct comparison to John Wick, saying that there's even more violence in that movie, but no issues there.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I just don't get it, man. It's like we see these
I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Like, as of recording this, there have been no issues or events that have happened, so that's definitely a good sign.
Yes, and I'm very happy for everyone who obviously we have a few other friends who are seeing it Sunday, so it really just sucks that we have to worry about our own friends' safety just to go see a movie. And everyone over at Cinemania World who has seen it, I'm glad you guys are safe. I'm safe, so we're all good. And I was like in the middle of the theater. There was only about 25 of us all together in the theater, but like I was laughing at like the most like fucked up parts. But like they're like, that's not funny. But like there were some things that made you giggle, but obviously overall it was very serious. But
yeah,
I was like, and this is why I like going to the movies. Like honestly, I think I would not have had the same experience if this was just like on Netflix or push to like Hulu or Amazon or one of those other streaming services, or but yeah, I mean it was crazy. I'm glad.
And of course there's been a ton of people like trying to bring back the whole violent media causes violence argument that's been going back and forth, and obviously over and over again it's proved to not have really any value.
Yeah,
it's just not true.
Yeah, same thing with video games. It's like everyone's like, oh, violent video games breeds more violence. I'm like, no, the people who are doing these things, there is something mentally unstable about them, and clearly they are not getting the help that they need, or they're just being ignored. They're not being listened to. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and
there's been such a history of even more violent movies than this, and there's been no incidents that have happened there, or no causations there.
Yeah, and no one said
Have you seen American Psycho?
No, I have not.
I think that I kept thinking about that movie while watching this one. It's a very similar type movie to me. You might want to watch it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to.
About a very famous serial killer in movies, played by the Batman himself, Christian Bale.
Oh man, now I gotta watch it. I love me some Christian Bale. But even with when we were talking about In the Star Is Born, where just the wrong thing said to someone can just make them snap, and look what happened to oh my gosh, Rocket Raccoon. Wow, I'm drawn. Bradley Cooper's character, he kills himself. Why? Because the dude was just complete. Obviously, he was ill, and it wasn't more of a mental state. Well, it could have been more of a mental state, because I feel like alcoholism can lead more into a mental illness state, because alcohol is affecting your body in more ways than one, and he ended up killing himself. And it's like, even one more quick thing, even the Joker's mom was like a little bit of a dick when she was like, well, don't you have to be funny in order to be a comedian?
That was like a giant
excuse
burn.
Me,
oh
miss.
My. She's destroyed her own son.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blow up. Go ahead.
That was just a giant burn. Like, your own son just destroyed.
I was like, well, okay. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm like, yeah, no, you go get her.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm like, she didn't think you were funny. But even then, when he was reading through the notes, and it's like, oh, like he's sad, but he's my boy or whatever. I was like, well, I don't think my mom would say anything like that to me. I don't think your mom would say anything like that to you.
Yeah.
That would be like our parents being like, hey, we're doing this movie thing, this podcast thing, and it's like, well, don't you need like more followers than just like 69 subscribers on YouTube? And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. But yeah, I'm just ranting at this point. I do apologize. But anything else you wanted to cover?
I think I had one more thing before the reviews.
Yeah, go ahead.
Todd Phillips mentioned the two obvious influences for the movie were Taxi Driver and King of Comedy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've heard of those, but they're two Scorsese films I think they're both from the 80s. But it's a very heavy influence, and from what I've seen and heard from people, it might be kind of too similar to those movies.
Yeah, that's what I was
Taxi
saying.
Driver is about a down on his luck guy in New York City who's driving around and just becomes more insane as bad things happen to him.
Right.
And King of Comedy is the funny thing is they both have Robert De Niro in the starring role, and he's in this one too, which is even more of a connection to those two movies.
Did you watch the Let Me Explain video too?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Because I was like, yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, he had mentioned that on his YouTube video. Well, great channel. Everyone go check it out. Very short videos, but definitely make you think. And he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite movie type YouTubers.
I agree. This is the reason why I got into that EPK thing for getting all that footage and stuff for me to download. Because he mentioned in one of his videos, I'm like, let me look this up, and bing bang boom.
Yeah.
No more YouTube hunting unless actually, because there is no Joker coverage on EPK or EPK.TV right now, but there might be. I don't know. I mean, I've looked, and usually you get emails when new stuff comes out, and as soon as you log on, it lets you know what new screenings and like sound bites and stuff are out. But anyway, I guess let's just wrap up here. Well, I just want to thank you, for coming on, and we're gonna keep doing this thing, until we don't want to do it anymore or whatever. Yeah. Even though I'm part of Cinemania World, I want to divide my time equally and support both channels and both podcasts as equally, in general. I would never want to choose one over the other, but definitely check out Cinemania World podcast, available on Podbean and Spotify at Cinemania World. And I've been on a few podcasts so far. I've had one as a guest, and then my official podcast when we were talking about Birds of Prey and things like that. So definitely go check it out. Check out the Joker review over there as well. And for us, check out our stuff. I just put out a Jojo Rabbit spoiler review, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at broke_boy, spelled BOI_media. And you can also always listen to this on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and I believe that's it. I don't think I was gonna look into Stitcher, but I don't know. It is what it is. It's just been a long week, but we'll see you guys in the next one. We're just gonna sign off.
Don't forget score.
Oh yeah, my God! Wow, the score. What would you give the score out of 100 laughs?
I'm thinking a clean 90. Like I said, the girlfriend twist didn't really work for me because I kind of saw it coming, and I wish they kind of showed her fate as well. But other than that, pretty great movie.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. I'll give it I'll give it I think I enjoyed it a little bit more, so I'll just give it like a 92 out of 100. Because obviously,
right.
Yeah, I wish that Zaza Beetz was more included within the film, and I wish they would have delved a little bit deeper into that. But overall, just absolutely love the movie. I definitely want to see it a second time. Definitely. But those are just two people's thoughts and opinions about this. What did you think of the Joker movie? Let us know, and we'll see you guys in the next one. We don't know what we're reviewing next, so We're just gonna...
Gemini Man. They made a person out of another person.
You made a person out of another person. Or Maleficent, I think it is. I don't know. We'll figure it out. As long as it's not Rambo.
No.